Logan, I'm too damn tired for this. It's been over 24 hours since I've had a real bed, and I can feel it settling into my bones. The flight back to the States is still a couple of hours away, and all I want to do is zone out. Maybe close my eyes for a bit. Instead, I've got David Park elbowing me in the ribs. Dude, look at that, I grunt. Look at what? He tilts his head toward a small group of women a few rows away, speaking rapid fire in a language I vaguely recognize. Korean, maybe? My grandfather had fought in the Korean War and actually spoke some. The women keep talking. Definitely Korean. They're animated, chatting among themselves. There are 4 of them, some with masks, some without. That's when I notice it. They aren't just attractive, they're ridiculous. The kind of ridiculous that doesn't happen in real-life perfect skin, perfect hair, all of them moving in this polished, synchronized way. Like they're used to cameras tracking their every step. Wow, is all I can say. David exhales. Those are easily the most attractive women I've ever seen. Well, that weren't in a porno. Dude, I glare at him. Read the room. David shakes his head, ignoring me. Definitely Korean. If that's what women look like over there, I need to reevaluate some life choices. I smirk. Pretty sure it's not all of them. The group keeps chatting among themselves, completely unaware of the effect they're having on everyone around them. Then, after a few minutes, they start moving. All except one. She lingers, watches them leave. Then, without hesitation, she plops down right next to me. And unlike the others, she's wearing a mask. I don't say anything at first. Just glance at her from the corner of my eye. She's closer than a stranger should sit when there are empty seats everywhere. The mask covers the lower half of her face, sleek and black, like something straight out of a cyberpunk movie. Her eyes catch me. They're unbelievable. David notices too. I hear his breath hitch before he leans in slightly. Why is she wearing a mask? The others aren't. Good question. She doesn't acknowledge us, doesn't say anything. Just crosses her legs and stares straight ahead, like she's waiting for something. I can feel David vibrating with curiosity. Dude, say something. Before I can, she glances at her phone, then just as suddenly as she sat down stands and walks away. David watches her go, then turns to me, eyes wide. What the hell was that? I shrug. No idea. But something about it sticks with me. Excuse me. Both David and I look up to see what appears to be a Transair employee. I speak first. Hi, can I help you? Hello, gentlemen, the woman says with a dazzling smile. It's your lucky day. In an absolute stroke of luck, David and I both get upgraded. First-class flights, free booze on the plane, and access to the fancy first-class lounge, which is exactly where we head as soon as the pretty Transair employee finishes talking to us. David keeps looking around. I don't know what kind of glitch in the system happened, but this is awesome. He gestures around at the high-end decor, the plush seating, the businessmen drinking whiskey like they own oil fields. The damn place even has an ice cream bar. Ice cream bar. It's amazing how the other side lives. I'm pretty sure this is the nicest place I've ever been, he continues. Look at this free drinks, actual food, no screaming kids. Man, the Corps did not prepare me for this level of civilization. Remind me to be a rich man. I snort. An idiot like you? Good luck with that. David gives me a pained look. That really hurts, Logan. Has anyone ever told you that you're extremely hurtful? I roll my eyes. I think I need a glass of bourbon to ease my pain. I cock an eyebrow. Bourbon, right? You're getting a daiquiri. He flips me off as he gets up. I stretch my legs out. Just don't embarrass us. Who, me? He scoffs. I am the picture of refinement. That's when I see her again. Same girl. Same mask. She's sitting near the floor-to-ceiling windows, her posture relaxed but distant, like she's here but not really. Unlike the others from her group, who are laughing and taking selfies across the room, she's completely still. David follows my gaze. Wait, that's... Yup. He lets out a low whistle. Okay, so this is weird, right? First, she sits next to you for no reason, strategically close. She must want to talk to us. I roll my eyes. I'm pretty sure she was in here first, Captain Obvious. David once again ignores me. Go talk to her. I shake my head. And why would I do that? She's hot, and I'm too shy. Get her number for me. I throw my book at him. David walks off laughing. I shift my attention back to the group of girls, just as a group of guys steps forward. Hey, you're like, really pretty. My friends and I are going to Greece. Where's your friend? The girls start talking in rapid Korean amongst themselves. There's a flurry of hands and gestures, and then one of them says in very broken English, Uh, so, sorry, no speak English. Then they turn back to each other, continuing their conversation. I watch as the guys try again, but eventually give up. My phone buzzes. Cindy. Sorry I missed your call. I was busy. Was it important? I let out a sigh. I try not to think about Cindy and don't reply. I move slowly to grab my book. But when I look back to where it was, the girl in the mask already has it. She walks over and sits down next to me. Then she takes off her mask. Damn. Logan, my brain went blank, like I'd just taken a hit straight to the head. This was, single-handedly, the most attractive woman I had ever seen. And I've been to a lot of places. I didn't react at first. I couldn't. Her eyes ball sack. They were sharp, alive, playful, in a grayish-blue color. Wow. Just wow. The kind of eyes that could probably get a man to do just about anything. Then out of nowhere, she started talking. Fast. Bright. Completely in Korean. I stared at her, my brain short-circuiting. She gestured at my magazine, her voice lilting upward at the end, like she was asking me something. I caught exactly 0% of what she just said. What? She paused, looked confused, then tilted her head like she was considering something. Then, she grinned. And that's when I knew I was in serious trouble. Because that grinnet was mischief, challenge, and confidence all wrapped up in one. She leaned back into her seat, still watching me, still smiling, like she was perfectly content to sit here and let me figure out what the hell just happened. And I didn't know why. But something about that made my exhaustion disappear. Her freaking legs were unbelievably distracting. She was wearing short shorts with fuzzy boots. Her legs were long, shapely, and flawless. I tried really hard not to look at them. I cleared my throat, giving her a slow once-over. I saw earlier when those guys tried to talk to you. No English, huh? No response. Just that smile. Well, I can't hold that against you. I don't speak Korean. Wish I did, though. I leaned back, stretching my legs out. Probably would have been the highlight of my year. And trust me, it's been a pretty shitty year. Actually, it's stupid. We don't really learn languages like most countries. Hell, I barely speak English. She just took a sip from her water bottle, eyes still locked on me. Unreal. Her eyes didn't indicate that she understood what I was saying. But for some reason, she seemed to be enjoying me talking at her. And because I was too exhausted to have a filter, my mouth just kept going. I exhaled, shaking my head. Since it's just you and me here, I have to ask. Not all Korean girls are in your orbit, right? Like, there are normal-looking ones too? Because this is ridiculous. Nothing. Just a slow blink. I thought people like you only existed on the internet. Still nothing. I gestured vaguely at her. I'm sure you hear it all the time. Or maybe you don't. I've heard Korean guys can be shy. Well, I don't have that problem. I'm relatively blunt. Probably the reason I didn't have many relationships before my deployment. She tilted her head, then said something in Korean. I leaned forward slightly. You know, Korean is really pretty. She blinked once. I sighed. What's with this sudden need to flirt with this girl? I didn't even know her name. It's kind of amazing, isn't it? I murmured. Meeting like this in the middle of nowhere. You from the other side of the world, me just passing through. She grinned again. I narrowed my eyes slightly. You have to be someone important. Or at least on your way there. Her eyes flickered with something curiosity. Amusement? Hard to tell. I tilted my head slightly. I mean, come on. I don't know a damn thing about your personality except maybe you're full of confidence. But I'd be willing to bet my admittedly modest salary that people bend over backward for you. Strangers, friends, politicians, the Pope, probably even people who should know better. She took another sip of her water. I smirked slightly. If I had to guess, you don't even ask for it. It just happens. She adjusted her legs, stretching them. A bit of her shirt lifted, and I caught a glimpse of flat stomach and pale, perfect skin. I exhaled, shaking my head. You know, you're almost too pretty. The kind of pretty that messes with people. I bet you get hit on constantly. Maybe even by guys who should have a shot. I paused, studying her. But I'd also bet that doesn't mean much. Because I think... My voice dropped slightly. You feel alone anyway, and most likely taken advantage of. She looked away. I smiled. You don't have to worry. I have a younger sister who's a model and really cute. I know what attractive people go through. You won't have to worry about me hitting on you, even if you could understand me. You're way out of my league, so hopefully you can feel my sincerity even if you don't understand. The hot Korean girl's smile faltered. She looked away, staring at her feet for a second. And suddenly the mood shifted. Like what I said upset her. I cleared my throat. feeling like I'd stepped on a landmine I didn't know was there. Before I could fix it, I heard the clatter of a cup hitting the table. David. He dropped into the seat across from me, holding a drink in one hand and a magazine in the other. And then he froze. I barely had time to react before he went completely still, eyes locked on the woman sitting next to me. Then, like a man realizing he just walked into a minefield, he straightened up, gripping his cup like he suddenly didn't know what to do with his hands. I laughed. Hey dude, I thought you were going to get me a coffee. Don't worry about her. She doesn't speak English. Super pretty though, right? Don't make it weird and make her uncomfortable. David just stared at the girl, who gave him a big, dazzling smile. I frowned. What's up with you? David didn't answer right away. He glanced at me, then back at her, then at me again, and his jaw actually dropped slightly. Then in slow motion, like he was checking to make sure he wasn't crazy, he lowered the magazine in his hand, and right there, staring back at me, was her. On the cover, looking stupidly perfect, wearing some designer outfit, gazing at the camera like she owned the world. Jaya, leader of Nova, the K-pop group taking the world by storm. Underneath, a headline. Jia opens up about her life between two worlds, growing up in Australia and finding her place in Korea. My brain broke. I stared at the magazine, then at her, then back at the magazine, then at David. He looked like he was physically restraining himself from losing his mind. Oh my God, he finally wheezed. Oh my God. I shook my head, still trying to process. What? David leaned forward like he needed to make sure I understood how insane this was. Do you have any idea who this is? I opened my mouth, closed it, slowly turned my head toward her. Of course I know who it is. Now! She was still watching me, still grinning like a wolf, like she had been waiting for this moment. David, meanwhile, was losing it. Bro, you just spent the last 20 minutes hitting on one of the most famous women in the world. I dragged a hand down my face. I wasn't hitting on her. I was just talking. I stopped and looked at her. I had pretty much spent the last half hour telling her how attractive she was. I looked back at the cover, staring at one word in particular. Australia. Shit, I said. And then she spoke. Soft, amused. Just loud enough for me to hear, and with the slight hint of an accent. You should go to Korea sometime, and I think your eyes are really pretty too. Then, smooth as silk, she stood, adjusted her bag, and walked away, her ass swaying like a freaking boat. I watched her disappear into the crowd, my mind still trying to catch up. David wiped tears from his eyes. Dude, I need you to know this is the funniest thing that has ever happened. I punched David on the arm.
I felt his eyes on me as I disappeared into the crowd. I tried not to look back at him. I really did. I failed. Our eyes met just briefly, and he looked at me in disbelief. I made mental notes. American, Marine, oblivious, handsome, his name. His name was Logan. His friend mentioned it. I hadn't meant to sit next to him, let alone let the conversation drag out as long as it had. Though conversation is a bit of a stretch. He talked. I listened. Still, something about him, the way he carried himself, the way he talked to me like I was just some random woman in an airport had kept me there. And now? Now he knew exactly who I was. I could still hear his stunned shit ringing in my ears. It made me smile. Ahead of me, my group was watching me approach, clearly waiting. As soon as I reached them, Hee-won, always the most excitable, practically bounced over, her eyes flicking past me to where I'd just been. Honey, who was that? I sighed, brushing a loose strand of hair behind my ear. Just some American. Jisoo snorted. Some ridiculously hot American. Are his eyes as blue as they look from here? I waved her off, but I didn't deny it. Because yeah, he was hot. In a very annoying, completely unfair, rugged, broad-shouldered, military-trained kind of way. He said I was made in a lab. Has he looked in a mirror? Hye-won was practically buzzing with curiosity. Why were you talking to him? Did he recognize you? No, I said smoothly, adjusting my bag. He had no idea who I was. Jisoo looked offended on my behalf. How? I shrugged. Not everyone watches K-pop. Minji, our main dancer and arguably the most chill out of all of us, gave me a knowing look. You looked like you were having fun. I didn't answer right away. Because, well, I had been. But why? I had no business sitting next to a stranger and letting him talk to me like that. Not in a bad way. He had been borderline shameless, but there had been nothing creepy about it. If anything, he had been too honest, too direct, and somehow too accurate. You feel alone anyway. I hadn't expected that. I had thought I would throw him off with my silence, let him spiral a little, then leave. But instead, he had read me. And I had let him. Minji was still watching me. I needed a cover story before they started assuming things. I took a slow breath, choosing my words carefully. Honestly, I was just going to ask if I could look at his magazine when he was done with it. Haewon tilted her head. His magazine? Yeah. I waved a hand, trying to sound casual. I was waiting for him to put it down, but then I accidentally asked in Korean and, well, I sighed dramatically. He was cute, so I just let him talk. Jisoo snorted. He was cute, so you let him talk? That's cold. I smirked. Yeah, a bit. Minji eyed me suspiciously. What magazine? I hesitated. And this was where I needed to be careful. Because the real answer? A gun magazine. And no matter how much I tried to convince myself otherwise, idols weren't supposed to be into guns. Not publicly. Not in interviews. And definitely not in an international airport where anyone could see me drooling over the specs of the new KS-90 rail rifle, an absolute beast of a weapon with next-gen recoil compensation, custom porting, and a hybrid thermal optic scope. I bit my lip. I wanted to see that article. Badly. But I could already imagine the scandal that would follow. Gia of Nova secretly obsessed with deadly firearms? Yeah, no thanks. I needed a different answer. It was a travel magazine. I lied smoothly. There was an article about Australia. You know, childhood nostalgia and all that. Minji narrowed her eyes. Mm-hmm. I shot her my most innocent look. What? She held up her hands in surrender. Nothing, just, it's been a long time since I've seen you voluntarily start a conversation with a guy. I scoffed. Conversation is probably a stretch. I sat down, said the wrong thing, and then he just kept talking. I did answer him in Korean a couple of times. Jisoo shook her head, still looking amused. So you let a hot American flirt with you for 20 minutes because you were too embarrassed to ask for a magazine? Yes. Haewon grinned. I kind of love that. Our Unnie has grown up. Minji was still looking at me. Not in a judgmental way, just thoughtful. I ignored it. Anyway, I said briskly, it's not like it matters. He knows who I am now, so it's over. Jisoo chuckled. He looked like his soul left his body when his friend showed him that magazine. I smirked. Yeah, that was fun. Haewon sighed dramatically. I wish I had that kind of luck. Attractive men never randomly flirt with me in airports. Maybe because you don't give them a chance, Minji pointed out. You always have your headphones in. Haewon gasped. Excuse me, music is my priority. Jisoo laughed, linking arms with her. Come on, let's get to our gate before we miss this flight. We started walking again, but I didn't immediately follow. I glanced back toward the waiting area just for a second. Logan was still sitting there, staring at the magazine like he was trying to process his entire life. David, meanwhile, looked like he was in actual pain from laughing so hard. I smirked, then turned and walked away. I didn't know if I'd ever see Logan Carter again, but I kind of hoped I would.
Logan. I'd been back for 3 months. 3 months of trying to figure out what the hell to do next. 3 months of readjusting to civilian life, dodging questions from old neighbors, and pretending like I gave a damn about small talk. 3 months of Cindy not letting it go. Man, do I wish she would let go. I wasn't mad anymore. Not really. Not sure I ever really was. Finding out she'd been cheating had sucked, but it hadn't destroyed me or anything. I had been with Cindy off and on for like 5 years, and before I left on deployment, I wanted a stronger commitment, so I was like, fine. Apparently, that desire for commitment, at least for me, didn't last that long. Like I said, though, ultimately it's not that big of a deal. It wasn't like we were engaged or anything. I am a little baffled at how I didn't see it coming. I came to the conclusion that I sort of knew and just didn't care enough to address it. But by the time I walked in and saw her curled up with Derek Owens like he was the love of her life, I'd felt more annoyed than anything. It was part of the reason I didn't sign the lease at the beginning of this year. Even back then, I think I had an inkling. I walked into the apartment that day. Hey, Derek. Hey, Cindy. They both panicked. Logan, Cindy said. This isn't what it looks like. Let me explain. I simply put a hand up. It's okay, Cindy. We all know exactly what it looks like. Just let me grab my stuff, and I'll be out of your hair. I grabbed a duffel, threw in some clothes and other items, and left with my sister, Emily. Honestly, I'm not sure what they were expecting. Maybe they wanted the drama of a Cena fight. maybe even an arrest. But I guess I just didn't care that much. Strange, I know. So now, it's 3 months later, and I'm trying to move on. Cindy, though? She wanted. Well, I'm not sure what she wanted. I think she wanted me to be upset. She wanted me to see her with Derek. I don't know if she thought I'd be heartbroken by her actions, or if she was surprised at the fact that I really wasn't that broken up about her. Honestly, I'm not sure how I feel, but I'm not going to get all bent out of shape about it. What I don't understand is her behavior since that night I came home. Maybe she just liked the idea of me watching her play house with Derek, but whatever the reason, she made sure she was everywhere I was. The coffee shop, the grocery store, the gym. If I was there, she'd show up within the hour, hanging all over Derek like they were in some low-budget romance movie. It was pathetic, and Emily was ready to kill her. The second my sister walked into the bar and saw me, she was already scowling. I swear to God, Logan, if you don't let me, I'm going to beat the hell out of her. I sighed, taking a slow sip of my whiskey. Nice to see you too, Em. I mean it. She dropped her purse onto the bar and slid onto the stool next to me, crossing her arms like she'd been preparing this rant all day. The way she flaunts Derek is disgusting. How does she do this to my loving older brother? Who does she think she is? She shall not get away with this. I will have my revenge. Did I mention my sister is a drama major? Go figure. Emily. No, because seriously, who does that? Who spends 3 years with someone and then parades their new boyfriend around like they need a damn trophy ceremony? I shook my head, but I couldn't help the small smirk forming. Emily takes my breakups way too personally, if you haven't noticed. She often gets more upset than I do. Cindy is looking for something, I said simply. She thinks attention, or validation, or whatever, is going to help her find it. I'm pretty sure me not reacting the way she thought I would is driving her crazy. She thinks she'll find whatever it is she's looking for by making me react. Emily leaned forward, eyes blazing. Then why don't we give her something to react to? You know, fire with fire. I raised an eyebrow. Nothing you just said made any sense. And what exactly does that mean? She grinned. You need a date. I groaned and took another sip of whiskey. No. Yes. No. Logan. I exhaled. Emily. She rolled her eyes. Listen, I'm not saying fall in love. I'm saying go out, have fun, dance or fish, or get laid, do something. Remind everyone in this town that Cindy wasn't the best thing to ever happen to you. I shook my head. I don't need to prove anything to Cindy. Emily stared at me for a long moment, then grabbed her phone and started scrolling. I frowned. What are you doing? Looking up single women in Ellensburg. I groaned. Emily, would you rather I check Yakima? What about Motown? Oh! You could take a girl out on the lake. She flicked through her contacts. I have a friend who works at Samaritan Hospital. She says the new nurses are cute. I shook my head, laughing under my breath. I don't need a damn setup. She leaned on the bar, grinning. Then do it yourself. I rolled my eyes, but for the first time in weeks, I felt a little lighter. Emily nudged my arm. Come on. One date. What's the worst that could happen? I glanced down at my glass, turning it in my hands. She wasn't wrong, and honestly, maybe it's time. Okay, I'll think about it. Emily's face lit up like a Christmas tree. She smiled, then grimaced like she'd just remembered something. Oh, I have a message for you. It's that facilities guy from the corporation that bought the gorge. I nodded. Mr. Otto. I wonder why he's reaching out. Emily shrugged. Hopefully to give you a job. I snorted. One could only hope.
The crowd is still screaming. Even from backstage, I can hear them tens of thousands of fans chanting our names. The energy in the arena still electric, even though the show ended 20 minutes ago. I should be buzzing too. Should be running on that post-performance high, giddy with adrenaline. Instead, I'm scrolling through my phone, half listening as the rest of the girls take turns collapsing into the dressing room chairs. You killed it out there, Gian. Heewon and Jisoo flop down next to me, still breathless from the encore. I hum in agreement, not really paying attention. The show had been good. Great, even. But my brain isn't on the performance. It's on the picture glowing softly on my screen. A man. A man that was not my boyfriend. Tall, broad-shouldered, sitting at a bar with a whiskey in hand. His jaw set in that way that made him look like he was either contemplating something deep or just really, really annoyed. Logan Carter. I don't know why I looked him up. I told myself it was curiosity at first. a harmless, fleeting thought that had turned into a quick search. But now, 3 months later, I still find myself doing it more often than I'd like to admit. It's not weird exactly, just unnecessary. I don't even know if he remembers me. But sometimes when things slow down between rehearsals, on flights, in quiet hotel rooms, I think about the way he looked at me before he knew who I was. Like I was just a normal person. Like I wasn't Gia of Nova, K-pop's golden girl, but just some random woman in an airport who sat next to him and let him ramble himself into a hole. That night had stuck with me in a way I hadn't expected. And now here I am, 3 months later, staring at pictures of him like an idiot. It's not even his account. His account is private. It's his sister's, Emily's. Yes, I figured out he has a sister named Emily. And he wasn't lying. She is a model and super pretty. I sigh, rubbing my temples. I should be worrying about the actual scandal circling my name right now, not reminiscing about some random Marine I met once. If you're wondering about what scandal, I had been recently connected somehow to some up-and-coming Chinese actor who apparently has a crush on me. It was all the talk right now. He has been trying to set coffee with my agency. You look way too serious for someone who just finished an amazing show. Minji's voice breaks through my thoughts. I blink and glance up. She's standing a few feet away, still holding a water bottle, eyes flicking between me and my phone screen. She is suspicious. Shit! I casually tilt my phone away from her line of sight. I'm just tired, her eyes narrow. Double shit. Minji doesn't move. Neither do her eyebrows, which are definitely raised in a yeah, sure kind of way. In case you were wondering, Minji is the smartest among us. She is close to a freaking genius. Or so she says. Uh-huh. She takes a slow sip of water. And does being tired usually involve staring at pictures of extremely attractive men? Triple shit, 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 shit. I do not react. At least I try not to. Unfortunately, Hyewan's ears perk up at the word attractive men. Wait, what? Who? Before I can stop her, Minji lunges. I yank my phone away, but it's too late. Hyewan, Minji, and now Jisoo are all gathered around me, peering over my shoulder. There is no escape. And then it happens. The collective gasp. The moment where they see what I've been looking at. Minji narrows her eyes. Wait a second, he looks familiar. Jisoo tilts her head. Oh my lordy, is that no one? I lock my phone and shove it into my pocket before they can start forming actual theories. It's literally no one, don't be weird. Hyewan isn't buying it. She's looking at me with a look. The kind of look that says, I know exactly what this is, and I'm about to be unbearable about it. I shoot her a warning glance. Don't, she grins. I mean, I just think it's interesting. You looking up pictures of a... Don't. A certain handsome American Marine you met in an airport? I groan. Hyewan, who, by the way, I remember you flirting with. I did not flirt. Minji laughs. You let him talk himself into a meltdown while you sat there and smirked? That's your version of flirting. I glare. Why do I even talk to you people? Jisoo walks over to the couch, plops down, and stretches her arms. I don't know, but I'm fascinated. I thought you weren't interested in dating for a while. I'm not. Minji raises a brow. Then why are you stalking a random guy from 3 months ago? I throw my hands in the air. I'm not stalking him. He came up in my feed and I clicked on it. That's it. Hyewan clutches her chest. You follow him? No, of course not. Can you imagine what would happen if I did? But you searched for him, Jisoo points out, eyes twinkling with amusement. I pinch the bridge of my nose. You're all the worst, Minji shrugs. We're not saying you like him. Good. But if you did, she continues, ignoring me, it would be kind of adorable. I groan dramatically, slumping back into the chair. You bitches sure are bold today. They're never going to let this go. Not now. Not when I've been in the headlines all week over the breakup that wasn't even a real breakup. They don't say it, but I know what they're thinking. That this is convenient timing. I'm looking up Logan Carter because I need a distraction. And maybe I am, but that doesn't mean anything, right?
Another 9 months pass. Another change of plans. If you told me a year ago I'd be working security for one of the biggest music venues in the Pacific Northwest, I'd have laughed in your face. Hell, even 6 months ago I didn't expect to be here. But when I got home, I needed a job and started working security. It was a good job, paid well, but not something I could do full-time. Then, when spring concert season rolled around, the Gorge asked me to come back. They were looking for someone with my background military experience, logistics, crowd control. They had taken advantage of these traits of mine last year. I had no expectations for this year. At first, I figured it was temporary, a side gig while I figured out my next move. But then the venue kept calling me back, throwing more money at me, asking for input on operations. Before I knew it, I wasn't just working security, I was running it. There was a fallout with their security company's president. Then they wanted me to start a company and bid for the Gorge security contract. Me? A business owner? Sounds insane. But the money's there. So after some scrambling, I put together a security company. I secured funding from a rich uncle, hired guys mostly locals with a military background set up training, and now we have a company. I'm even getting offers to head up security for other places in Seattle, and as far away as San Francisco. But I couldn't leave the Gorge. I love this place. People who've never been don't get it. The way the sun sets behind the stage, painting the Columbia River gold. The way the amphitheater sits on the edge of the cliffs. How the grass replaces traditional seating, making every concert feel like something bigger than just a show. The venue hasn't changed much in the last 30 years. The music industry? Different story. Back in high school, I saw a summer jam hear Eminem, Dr. Dre, Busta Rhymes, even Beyoncé. Big names. Legends. Now, the biggest show in years isn't some rock band or a hip-hop festival. It's a K-pop group. Nova. I swear to God the world has lost its damn mind. I don't get it. K-pop isn't just popular, it's religion-level hysteria. These fans treat groups like Nova like they're the second coming of Jesus. And security has been tripled just to handle them. Which is why I'm here. I'm making more money in one night than I made in almost my entire time in the Marines. Yeah, that's a big-ass number. But the chaos hasn't fully hit yet. The show's tomorrow, fans are just starting to arrive, and we've got time to breathe. Which is why the team decided to grab food at a small diner about 30 miles away in Moses Lake before the real madness starts. The place is nothing special. An old-school, family-owned joint with a faded menu and booths that have seen better days. Perfect for a quiet meal. Or at least it should be. I'm halfway through my steak when the diner door swings open. And I hear it before I see it. That laugh. Loud. Annoying. Cindy. And of course, she's not alone. Derek Owens, smug as ever, strolls in beside her, his hand resting possessively on her waist. I don't react. Don't care enough to. I just keep eating, barely acknowledging them. But Cindy? Cindy isn't going to let that happen. She wants a reaction. I can see it in the set of her jaw, in the way she's talking just a little too loudly. What the hell is wrong with her? I can feel my co-workers watching, most of them local guys who know the history, but they also know my complete indifference. I cut another piece of steak, take a sip of my drink, let them squirm in their own desperation. Cindy cracks first. She saunters closer, her voice syrupy sweet. Wow, Logan. Didn't think I'd see you here. I don't even bother looking up. Sure, Cindy, I'm sure you had no idea. Her smile falters. Not what she expected. Derek, always eager to be the biggest asshole in the room, steps in. Didn't know you were still around? Thought you'd be somewhere, I don't know, being poor. I snort. Ah, yes. The classic, you're poor insult. Real creative, Derek. I glance at him, unimpressed. The 1980s called, and they want their dialogue back. Besides, I'd rather be poor than have a silver spoon up my ass. A couple of the guys at my table choke back laughter. Derek's jaw tightens, but he keeps talking. You seem tense, Logan. Maybe you should take a vacation. He smirks, pulling Cindy closer like she's a prize. Actually, Cindy and I just got back from California. First class. Saw the redwoods. Maybe I should send you our travel agent's number. I hum, unimpressed. Good for you. How'd all that go with the OARC complaints you've been getting? Derek freezes, like a deer in freaking headlights. You know about that? I grin. Everyone knows about that. That's what happens when you use ChatGPT to write your legal briefs, dumbass. The guys at my table lose it. Derek's face darkens. Cindy shifts uncomfortably. She tries to recover. Logan, I didn't realize you were so petty. I'm disappointed. I raise an eyebrow. You did just hear him make fun of me for being poor, right? Maybe you should worry less about me and more about your boyfriend, who's about to lose his law license. I take a slow sip of my drink, watching as her confidence crumbles. Derek, realizing Cindy is completely failing, tries one last jab. I will be fine, Logan. Don't worry about me and mine. You just keep doing your little security job. Isn't that a bit pathetic? Weren't you, like, valedictorian at one point? What happened to being smart? I smirk. I don't know. Protecting people from entitled assholes like you seems like the smart thing to do. The table erupts into laughter. Derek's face reddens. Cindy looks like she swallowed a lemon. I level a look at Derek. Blow it out your ass, Derek, and take your, girlfriend with you. They leave to the laughter of my colleagues.
G and I should be asleep. The show is tomorrow, and I need to be rested. But instead, I'm lying in bed, wrapped up in a hotel robe, scrolling through my secret account with the dim glow of my phone lighting up the dark room. I tell myself I'm just checking messages. That's it. But then I see it. A video. I pause. The thumbnail is blurry, just a shot of some nondescript diner, but the caption catches my eye. Ex-Marine shuts down ex and her new boyfriend without even trying. Something about it makes me click. At first, I don't recognize the setting. Just another small-town restaurant, the kind with laminated menus and waitresses who call you hon. But then the camera shifts, and my stomach flips. Logan. He's sitting at a table, looking completely at ease, while a blonde woman stands next to him, her arms crossed, her expression way too pleased with herself. Cindy. I narrow my eyes. So we meet again. When I first found Logan's social media, I did a bit of digging. Not in a stalkery way, I was just curious about his life. I found his sister's social media. She's a big K-pop fan, by the way, and she had posted about Cindy cheating on Logan. The bitch. Who cheats on a guy when he's fighting for lives on the other side of the world? She had been with her new boyfriend for almost a year now. Cindy is smiling in the video. She's pretty enough, I guess, in a generic, overprocessed kind of way. Blonde, blue-eyed, perfectly made up, the type that probably spends an hour on her hair just to make it look effortless. But still, not pretty enough for him. Not by a long shot. I press play. The first thing I hear is her laugh. Loud, annoying, fake. I grimace and turn the volume down a little. The camera shakes slightly as the person recording shifts. Cindy is standing next to Logan's table, her hand resting on her hip, while some guy, her boyfriend, I'm guessing, leans in, looking just as smug. I don't know what I expect, but Logan barely reacts. If anything, he looks somewhat amused. He just keeps eating, like they're not even worth looking at. Cindy, clearly not satisfied with that, leans closer. Wow, Logan, didn't think I'd see you here. His response is so dry I almost laugh. Sure, Cindy, I'm sure you had no idea. Her smile falters for half a second. I smirk. Oh, this is going to be good. The boyfriend, desperate to assert himself, jumps in. Didn't know you were still around. Thought you'd be somewhere. I don't know. Being poor. I gasp so hard I nearly choke on my own spit. No, he did not. Who says that? But Logan? He doesn't even flinch. He just snorts. Ah, yes, the classic "you're poor" insult. Real creative, Derek. The 1980s called and they want their dialogue back. Besides, I'd rather be poor than have a silver spoon up my ass. I cover my mouth to keep from laughing. Derek. Of course his name is Derek. He's a dick. I can already tell. Logan goes back to eating, completely unbothered. But Derek, clearly irritated that he's not getting a reaction, keeps going. You seem really tense, Logan. Maybe you should try going on vacation. Actually, Cindy and I just got back from California. First class. Saw the redwoods, the works. Maybe I should send you our travel agent's number. I roll my eyes so hard they might detach. Good Lord, I hate guys like this. Logan doesn't even look up. Good for you. How'd all that go with the OARC complaints you've been getting? The entire mood shifts. Derek freezes. You know about that? Logan grins. Everyone knows about that. That's what happens when you use ChatGPT to write your legal briefs, dumbass. I choke out a laugh. The guys at Logan's table are dying. Derek looks like he just swallowed his own tie. Cindy, still trying to salvage the moment, tries to switch gears. Logan, I didn't realize you were so petty. I'm disappointed. Oh, this woman is desperate. Logan just lifts an eyebrow. You did just hear him make fun of me for being poor, right? Maybe you should worry less about me and more about your boyfriend who's about to lose his law license. The way Cindy visibly shrinks makes me grin. Derek, realizing his girlfriend is drowning, tries one last jab. I will be fine, Logan. Don't worry about me and mine. You just keep doing your little security job. Isn't that a bit pathetic? Weren't you like valedictorian at one point? What happened to being smart? Logan smirks. I don't know. Protecting people from entitled assholes like you seems like the smart thing to do. The entire table erupts. Derek's face turns red. Cindy looks like she's been personally offended by gravity. And Logan? He just stands up, tosses some money onto the table, and walks out like it's just another day. The video ends. I stare at my screen for a long moment, then go straight to the comments section. Dude didn't even blink. King behavior. I need to know everything about this man immediately. The way he just ate his steak while they embarrassed themselves. I need this energy in my life. I've never seen someone be so attractive while doing so little. What's OARC? Office of Attorney Regulation. This guy is a lawyer. What an ass. I smirk, shaking my head. Logan Carter, unknowingly entering his viral era. I should stop watching. I should put my phone down and go to sleep. Instead, I click on the location tag. And that's when it hits me. This diner? It's right down the street. I sit up straighter, my heart kicking up a notch. Of course, it makes sense. Moses Lake is the closest town to the gorge, and Logan's working security there. But still, he's here, closer than he's ever been. I don't know what I'm doing until my fingers are already typing. Wanderlust J. So you're famous now? I hit send before I can overthink it. A few minutes pass. Then, Logan. Yeah, dumb, right? People are too attached to their phones. Didn't realize having dinner was a viral event. I should get to bed. I'm going to have a long day tomorrow. I grin. Because tomorrow I'm finally going to see him again. And he still has no idea. I stare at my phone long after Logan's message disappears from the screen, my heart still hammering in my chest. I should go to sleep. I really should. But my brain won't shut off. Because tomorrow I'll finally see him again. And he still has no idea. It's been almost a year since I first stumbled across his social media. Okay, that was a lie. I didn't stumble. I looked and found him. It actually wasn't that hard. I remembered his full name and started searching. It didn't take me long. At the time, his profile was locked down private, barely updated, almost like he didn't want to be found. But I was determined. I don't even remember what made me so curious in the first place. Maybe it was how he carried himself in that short interaction we had, or the fact that he unloaded his true thoughts. I don't know. But after months of being unable to forget about him, I broke down and looked for him and befriended him. And now I'm going to see him. I'm going to tell him who I am. And then I'm going to hope that when he sees me, he won't hate me.
Logan. The morning started like any other. I arrived at the gorge early, radio clipped to my vest, running through the final security protocols before the madness hit. The sun was already climbing over the cliffs, casting a golden glow over the amphitheater. It was quiet now, just the crew moving equipment, vendors setting up, and the security team doing their final walkthroughs before the storm hit. And it was going to be a storm. Nova's show was tonight. The crowds were already forming, with fans camping out for days, and by mid-afternoon, the lines would be spilling into the fields beyond the gates. I had worked plenty of big events, but nothing like this. K-pop fans weren't just fans. They were a force. A loud, dedicated, slightly unhinged force. Ray, one of the senior security guys, fell in step beside me. "You ready for this, boss?" I snorted. "Not even close," he smirked. "Never thought we'd see the day. A bunch of teenage girls breaking you, Carter?" "I'm not worried about them," I said, scanning the perimeter. "I'm worried about the psychos who think they can rush the barricades. This is the kind of crowd that'll climb a fence and throw themselves at moving vehicles to get a glimpse of their idols." Ray nodded. "No joke. You see the numbers for this one? We've got twice the usual security detail, even hired some guys from out of state. No risks." "Good," I said. "I want everyone tight on protocol. Checkpoints need to be flawless. No one without clearance gets through backstage. No exceptions." "Got it." We walked the grounds, making rounds, checking placements, making sure every part of the amphitheater was covered. By now, I had this place memorized, but today felt different. It wasn't just another show. I could feel it, an itch at the back of my mind, something nagging at me. I tried to shake it off, focusing on the job. We finished the last checkpoint sweep, and I was about to head back to the operations tent when I saw it. The posters. Massive promotional materials being set up at the entrance. Bright colors, glossy finishes, and her. Jian. I stopped mid-step, eyes locking onto the larger-than-life image of her in the center. Tall, long legs, sleek dark hair, full lips, Those sharp, almost too pretty features. Her eyes, dark and piercing, seemed to look right through the camera. Like she wasn't just posing for a photo, she was owning it. Even if I hadn't already known who she was, I would have stopped. Anyone would have stopped, but I did know who she was. And for a second, everything else. The security checks, the job, the constant motion just stilled. Because of course it was her. I hadn't even let myself think about it. I had known Nova was performing, had known this was a massive event, but I hadn't let myself think about it. I had met her once, months ago in an airport, before I had any clue who she was. Before I had watched her sit down next to me, completely unreadable, and let me dig myself into a hole. Before I had ranted about how unfairly attractive she was, completely unaware that she was one of the most famous women on the planet. The memory gave me a small kick now. Embarrassing. Still, I hadn't said anything untrue. She was too pretty. She did probably have the world at her feet. And if I had to bet, she was lonely too. I wondered if she would recognize me. Probably not. Why would she? I was just some guy she had crossed paths with in an airport. Some idiot who had talked too much while she sat there silently laughing at me. Meanwhile, she was everywhere. I had even looked her up after the fact. Watched a couple of interviews. Checked out some of her music. Not that I would admit that to anyone. I had hovered over the follow button on her social media more than once. Never actually did it. Wasn't that brave yet? Deep in thought, a message popped. A Wanderlust J, good luck today. I smiled. Jess. It has been a bit since I heard from her. I exhaled, shaking my head slightly. I didn't even know how that had started. One day, I had just gotten a message from some blonde girl from New Zealand. Big personality. Bigger opinions? She was sharp funnier than I expected. Witty in a way that made our conversations easy. She gave me shit constantly, but not in a way that felt mean. We talked a lot. More than I talked to most people. I didn't have many friends, not the kind you just message in the middle of the night when you're bored or stuck on something stupid like what to eat for dinner. But somehow Jess became that. She called me out when I was being an idiot. She challenged me on things I hadn't even realized I had opinions about. We talked endlessly about guns and food and travel. She was hella cool. Somewhere along the way, she started to matter. Which was insane because I had never even met her. She was just some random girl I talked to online, and yet I trusted her. You good? Ray asked, noticing my pause. I blinked, forcing myself to move, to shrug like nothing was off. Yeah, just taking it in. Crazy, huh? Never thought I'd see the day Logan Carter front and center at a K-pop show. I smirked. Don't get used to it. Before Ray could say anything else, the radio on my vest crackled. Carter, the tour's head of security just arrived. He's looking for you. I exhaled. On my way. One last glance at the poster. Then I turned and walked away. Because tonight Gian and the rest of Nova would be here. And in the middle of a 100,000-person crowd, I had a weird feeling. That something was about to change.
Gian! The tour bus rumbled to a stop, the soft hum of the engine fading as the door swung open. Outside, the air was dry and crisp, the silence almost unsettling after weeks of city noise. No honking cars, no neon-lit chaos, just endless hills rolling toward the river. Moses Lake had been quaint enough, tiny by any real standard, gorgeous sunsets and the tranquility of the lake. But the gorge? It was breathtaking. The amphitheater sat on the edge of a canyon, overlooking the Columbia River, carved into the land like it belonged there. The cliffs, the endless sky, the sheer openness of it all. It was nothing like the arenas we usually played. It felt almost too peaceful for a Nova concert. Wow, Minji murmured, pressing her forehead against the window. I didn't think it would be this pretty. I did, Hee-won said, stretching. I looked it up. This place is legendary. Jisoo made a face. It looks like the kind of place people go camping. Are we performing or are we supposed to be pitching tents? Hye-won smirked. You wouldn't last 10 minutes outside. I barely registered the conversation. I wasn't listening. I was too busy scrolling through my messages, checking for an update that wasn't there. I had messaged Logan last night, the last thing I'd done before falling asleep. So you're famous now? His response had been casual. Yeah, dumb, right? People are too attached to their phones. Didn't realize having dinner was a viral event. I should get to bed. I am going to have a long day tomorrow. And that was it. No extra message. No, talk to you later. Nothing. Which was stupid because it wasn't like we had planned to meet up. It wasn't like Logan even knew I was secretly messaging him from a second account, because I was too much of a coward to message him directly. I knew all that. But still, I had expected something more. Something that acknowledged the fact that I was going to be in his orbit again. And now I was already here, stepping off the bus, the dry air hitting my skin, the venue's security team lining up near the entrance. And then I saw him. Way sooner than I expected, Logan. Walking the grounds like he belonged there. Which, of course, he did. Dark tactical gear. Radio clipped to his vest. Broad shoulders, confident stride. He looked handsome. So damn handsome. I froze. My stomach did something weird and I hated it. I had spent weeks thinking about this moment, imagining what it would be like to see him again. I had pictured a lot of scenarios. This wasn't one of them. Because in all my overthinking, I had assumed I would be in control. That I'd spot him first. Decide how and when to make my presence known. But now he was right there, completely unaware that I was watching him. And instead of marching over and demanding his attention, I just stood there. Caught between annoyance and something dangerously close to excitement. The others were still gathering their things, chatting with staff, completely oblivious to the fact that I had just been mentally punched in the gut. And Logan? Logan didn't even look in my direction. Which was ridiculous. I was right here. There was no way he hadn't noticed the entire tour group pulling in. No way he hadn't clocked the arrival of one of the biggest acts in the world. And yet, he wasn't rushing over. Wasn't making eye contact. Wasn't acknowledging me at all. He just kept walking. Focused. Professional. Talking to his security team like I wasn't even there. My jaw tightened. The logical part of me knew this was fine. He was working. He wasn't some random fan at the barricades. He was security, handling a high-profile event. And I was an artist here to perform. There was no reason for him to stop what he was doing just to talk to me. He didn't know I was Jess and that we were friends. But that didn't mean it didn't annoy the hell out of me. Because it did, in fact, annoy the ever-loving hell out of me. I folded my arms, watching him move through the venue. Jisoo, still standing next to me, finally noticed my mood shift. You good? I exhaled sharply, snapping myself out of it. Fine, I muttered, grabbing my bag and heading toward the dressing rooms. Jisoo blinked after me. Okay, I barely heard her. My mind was already elsewhere. Because as much as I tried to pretend otherwise, this had rattled me. And I hated that. I hadn't expected to feel this thrown off. I hadn't expected to care this much. But now all I could think about was that the next time I saw Logan, I wasn't going to let him walk away so easily.